Words are not just a collection of letters strung together. They carry vibrations that travel far beyond the moment they are spoken. They touch hearts, shape minds, and spark movements that can alter the course of history. When words are released with conviction, they create ripples that extend beyond the ears that hear them. They move into the consciousness of a people, shifting the way they think, the way they feel, and ultimately the way they act. Throughout every major turning point in human history, it was words that lit the fire, words that broke chains, words that awakened people who had been asleep to possibilities they never believed existed. A single phrase, delivered with passion, can dismantle fear and ignite courage in even the most uncertain hearts. The true power of words lies not in their sound, but in the energy and intent behind them. A whisper of truth can be more powerful than a shout of deception, because truth resonates, and resonance lingers long after speeches are over. When leaders speak with clarity and vision, their words do not just inform, they transform. They create pictures in the minds of their listeners, visions of what can be, not just reminders of what is. Those pictures grow stronger with repetition, and soon people begin to feel possibility as though it were already reality. A leader who understands the weight of his words knows that every sentence is a seed planted in the soil of human imagination. Some seeds produce fear, doubt, and anger, but others, when planted with wisdom, produce unity, hope, and progress. The difference is not in the vocabulary, but in the intent and belief carried behind each syllable. Words can either break a spirit or lift it higher than it has ever been before. When spoken with courage, words can challenge the status quo, confront injustice, and pierce through the fog of confusion that so often blinds people to the truth. They are weapons in the fight for what is right, but they are also bridges that connect one heart to another, one mind to another, one soul to another. Nations have been built on words written in constitutions and declarations, and they have also been torn apart by careless words spoken in anger. That is why the words of a leader are never casual. They hold the potential to shape not just the present moment, but the destiny of millions who will carry those echoes into the future. Leadership has never been about the title a person holds or the office they occupy. It is about the responsibility they embrace and the influence they create through their actions and decisions. A true leader does not seek power for the sake of control, but steps forward because they recognize the weight of duty that comes with guiding others. Responsibility is the essence of leadership, because every choice made at the top ripples down to affect countless lives. A leader who understands this knows that their words, their decisions, and their vision must be shaped not by ego but by service. Authority may place someone in a position of command, but responsibility is what earns them the respect and trust of those who follow. The measure of a leader is not found in how loudly they demand attention, but in how deeply their presence inspires people to act with integrity and courage. Leadership is not a performance. It is a calling to elevate others, to help them see what they are capable of achieving, and to remind them that greatness is possible when responsibility is placed above self-interest. When a leader uses their influence to serve rather than to dominate, they begin to embody the qualities that create lasting impact. True leadership is not about winning arguments or holding power over opponents, but about creating solutions that move everyone forward. History has shown us that leaders who mistake power for responsibility eventually fall, because power without purpose collapses under the weight of arrogance. But leaders who understand responsibility leave behind legacies that stretch far beyond their time. They do not rely on force, they rely on vision, integrity, and the quiet strength of consistency. Responsibility requires discipline, it requires courage to make unpopular decisions, and it requires humility to admit when mistakes are made. Leadership is not a privilege to exploit, it is a trust to honor. When people see a leader carry responsibility with grace, They begin to believe more in their own potential to take responsibility for their lives, their communities, and their future. That is the multiplying effect of leadership. It does not simply command others to act, it inspires them to take action from within themselves, and that inspiration has the power to shift the direction of nations. Division has always been the weakness that eats away at the foundation of a people, because when minds and hearts are set against each other, the true potential of a nation is never realized. Unity, on the other hand, is the force that multiplies strength, because when people choose to rise above their differences, they unlock a power that no obstacle can withstand. Unity is not the absence of disagreement. It is the presence of respect, of understanding, of a willingness to see beyond surface level labels and step into the shared humanity that binds us all. It takes courage to choose unity because it is easier to stand in a corner and point fingers, to divide people into categories of us and them, to protect our own interests without regard for the bigger picture. But the truth is that no society can flourish when division dictates its path, because division drains energy, it creates walls where there should be bridges, and it blinds people from seeing the opportunities that only collaboration can create. The power of unity lies in its ability to transform weakness into strength. A single voice can be dismissed, but a chorus of voices speaking together cannot be ignored. A solitary effort may falter, but collective action has the force to move mountains. History reminds us time and again that the greatest breakthroughs, the most profound achievements, and the boldest changes did not come from isolated individuals, but from communities and nations that set aside their differences long enough to chase a vision greater than themselves. Unity asks us to listen, even when listening is uncomfortable, to forgive, even when forgiveness feels undeserved, and to work side by side, even when we do not agree on everything. When people allow division to dominate, they hand over their strength to forces that thrive on conflict. But when they choose unity, they reclaim that strength and use it to build something enduring. Unity is not about uniformity, it is about harmony, about finding a way for many different notes to create one powerful song. It is in that harmony that nations discover their true resilience, because unity does not erase individuality, it amplifies it within a larger purpose. The future always belongs to those who can rise above petty divisions and embrace the power that comes from standing together. Truth is the bedrock upon which real progress is built, and without it, every structure of society begins to crumble, no matter how strong it may appear on the surface. When truth is absent, decisions are made on illusions, and illusions eventually collapse under the weight of reality. Progress cannot survive on deception, because lies might appear powerful for a moment. They might convince, they might manipulate, but they do not last. The test of time always exposes what is false and confirms what is real. For a nation to move forward, its foundation must be rooted in honesty, transparency, and integrity, because only then can the people trust in the direction they are being led. Truth creates clarity, and clarity gives birth to confidence. Without truth, there is confusion, and confusion leads to fear, mistrust, and chaos. When leaders choose truth over convenience, they empower the people to make decisions grounded in reality rather than in false promises. It may not always be comfortable to face the truth, because truth often reveals challenges that are difficult to confront, but it is in confronting those challenges that true progress begins. A society that embraces truth does not shy away from mistakes. It learns from them, grows stronger, and evolves into something greater. Lies, on the other hand, keep people trapped in cycles of disappointment and frustration because falsehood cannot deliver the results it promises. The truth may demand patience. It may require sacrifice, but it ultimately produces growth that is sustainable. Progress fueled by truth is not just about material achievement. It is about the growth of character, the strengthening of values, and the development of a culture that prizes integrity over illusion. When people learn to demand truth and leaders commit to delivering it, the path forward becomes clearer, the goals become attainable, and the vision becomes something everyone can believe in. Truth unites because it is universal. It cannot be bent to fit personal agendas without losing its power. It is the common ground where people from different backgrounds and perspectives can meet, because it speaks to something deeper than opinion. It speaks to what is real, and what is real will always carry the strength to endure. Every moment in history presents humanity with a choice, and that choice almost always lies between fear and hope. Fear is the voice that whispers limitations. It convinces people that change is impossible, that challenges are too big, that enemies are too strong. It paralyzes action, clouds judgment, and keeps individuals and nations locked in cycles of hesitation and mistrust. Fear feeds on doubt, and when doubt grows, progress slows until it comes to a complete stop. Hope, on the other hand, is the energy that fuels vision. It opens the mind to possibilities, it gives strength to endure trials, and it inspires people to believe in something beyond what they see in the present moment. Hope creates motion, and motion creates momentum, and once momentum builds, transformation becomes inevitable. Fear divides because it forces people to retreat into survival mode, protecting only themselves and distrusting those around them. Hope unites because it reminds people that the future is bigger than any single individual, that together they can rise above obstacles and carve out a better tomorrow. Fear holds people hostage to what has been, but hope liberates them into what can be. History shows again and again that every time fear took control, civilizations weakened, and every time hope was chosen, civilizations advanced. The greatness of a nation is never defined by the size of its challenges, but by the courage of its people to choose hope when fear would be easier. Hope does not ignore reality, it transforms it. It looks at the same challenges fear sees but responds differently. Where fear says impossible, hope says there is a way. Where fear says stop, hope says move forward. Where fear says darkness is closing in, hope says the dawn is near. That difference in perspective is what creates breakthroughs. Every invention, every movement, every victory against the odds began with someone daring to hope in the midst of uncertainty. A leader who chooses hope over fear gives permission to others to do the same, and that ripple effect can change the course of history. Fear is loud, but temporary. Hope is steady and everlasting because it does not depend on circumstances. It depends on belief, and belief has always been the spark that ignites lasting change. Legacy is not written in debates, in party lines, or in temporary victories that fade as soon as the headlines change. Legacy is written in the way people rise above division and focus on building something that outlives them. Politics is often consumed by short-term wins, by the pursuit of recognition, by the desire to prove one side right and the other wrong. But history does not remember the noise, it remembers the builders. A legacy is not about how fiercely someone defended their position, but about how courageously they created a future where others could thrive. To rise above politics is to recognize that the real purpose of leadership and citizenship is not the argument of the moment, but the impact that lasts for generations. When individuals choose to see beyond temporary conflicts, they begin to realize that their efforts carry weight far beyond the present. The laws written, the values upheld, the unity fostered, all become the inheritance of the generations that follow. A person who acts with vision understands that true influence is not in proving themselves right today, but in laying a foundation so strong that tomorrow's children can stand taller, dream bigger, and reach further. Rising above politics does not mean abandoning beliefs. It means elevating those beliefs to serve a greater purpose than personal pride. It means asking not just what benefits me now, but what serves us all in the long run. The greatest legacies are never built on division. They are built on unity, courage, and vision. They emerge when people resist the temptation to be consumed by rivalry and instead devote themselves to a mission that transcends party, ideology, or personal ambition. When a leader lifts their gaze from the battlefield of politics to the horizon of possibility, they awaken others to do the same. A legacy is not preserved in the arguments won, but in the lives touched, the opportunities created, and the values that stand the test of time. It is a reminder that while politics may shape the moment, it is vision that shapes the future. And when people rise above the pettiness of conflict to embrace the higher calling of legacy, they create something that can never be erased,